Good afternoon everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nissa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Now, one of my most recent videos I did canned sausage and potato soup, a zuppa toscana base for soup, and I used my homemade chicken bouillon paste or chicken stock paste. Now I make this using my Thermomix, and I got quite a few people asking me how it's made. I'm sure you can make this in any sort of a food processor and then on a stovetop as well. The Thermomix just makes it really simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how I make it, and for those that were asking, and what I put in it and things like that, and you can give it a go yourself. I use it in a lot of things. I use it in soups or in my canning as a flavor agent when I'm canning soups and things like that. It's really good in pie bases like chicken pot pies, or in tuna mornay pasta bakes. I use it in that as well. It's nice to add into mac and cheese. It just gives it that little bit of extra depth of flavour already pre-made. It can be stored in the fridge for a fairly decent amount of time because it's high in salt, or you can store it in the freezer. I generally just store it in the freezer. It never freezes solid, so you can scoop it out. You can make it without salt, you just have to store it in the freezer. You cannot store it in the fridge because the salt is the preserving agent. I like to make it with salt because I tend to add salt to most things anyway, and salt is a flavour. It just means that you add it and you don't add any extra salt until you've tasted it and made sure that it's exactly how you want it. So this is the chicken stock paste. There is a vegetable stock paste that you can make as well. I've never made vegetable stock paste because I enjoy the flavour of the chicken. So I've made beef as well, but I don't tend to make the vegetable one. If I want more flavours of vegetables, I just add more vegetables to whatever I'm cooking. But we are meat eaters, obviously. So this is how I put it together. And if you have any questions, or as always, ask in the comments, because I answer everybody who leaves me a comment, and I really enjoy interacting with everyone that way. So let's get to it, and I'll show you how I make it, and I'll see you back when I'm done. Okay, so the chicken stock paste can have any vegetables you want in it, basically. You want 300 grams of vegetables. Depending on what colour you want your stock to end up being and things like that, depends on which vegetables you use as well. I tend to use celery, carrot, onion, garlic, because that's my standard soup base that I would normally use for anything else. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get the scales going, and I'm going to add 300 grams of vegetables. I've just had a thought. There is probably a recipe for this on Cookie Do. So let's have a look, and then that way I won't need to look anything up. It'll tell me exactly what I need. This is pretty variable though. It depends on what you've got in your fridge. Like if you've got a whole bunch of vegetables and stuff sitting in your fridge, then you use those. So you use whatever you have. It's going to work either way. So if we go chicken stock paste, it's got it up there. And there it is, it comes up there. Chicken stock paste. So it tells you to put 300 grams of skinless chicken thigh fillet. So I cut these up. I had the bone in skin on chicken thighs, so I've deboned these and peeled them. So we've got 300 grams of chicken thighs there, and then you put the lid on, and we're going to mince that so it goes to So it's minced that chicken, and we're going to put that aside. Grab a spatula. And put that aside. Now we're going to add the 300 grams of the mixed vegetables into the bowl. Now I'm going to overdo the vegetables a little bit because it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. I'm storing it in the freezer, and so the ratio of salt to vegetables isn't as big a deal. If you're going to want to be storing this in the fridge, then you're going to need to be aware of the ratios of everything. But I regularly double the vegetables in my stock paste. I quite often double the meat as well and just make it a whole double batch, but I only pulled 300 grams of chicken out, so I get some celery, carrot, garlic, and onion. That's my mix that I'm going to use, and I like fairly heavy on the garlic. The wonderful thing about this too is that if you fail safe or anything like that and you can't have things like onion and garlic, you can use whatever you want in here instead. I'm not sure what the alternatives are. I think maybe you can use leeks. I can't remember for if you fail safe, but you can put whatever works for you, so then you can make your own fail safe bouillon to use instead of having to purchase a specific one that allows it. There is some that are sold out there, but always nice to make your own. So I've put 3 big cloves of garlic in there as well. And it says 4 sprigs of mixed herbs with the leaves only. So I went out to the garden. I've got some rosemary here. I've got some sage as well, and some parsley. It's really up to you what you use. This is what I've currently got growing in the garden fresh at the moment, so this is what I'm going to use. Now I'm going to cut the tip of my rosemary off because it's fresh growth, and I'm going to try and propagate the tip of my rosemary, so I'm going to put that aside and not use that, and then the rest I'm just going to pull off. So if you pull it against the grain, the leaves just pull off the stems. You can use these for chicken skewers and things like that. They're really nice. Sage, I'm just going to pull some of this new growth off to add in. You don't want the woody stems, just the leaves. Like that. And then I have some lovely fresh parsley as well. And again, you just want the leaves. Just like that. I'm going to place them all in there. So parsley gives it such a nice fresh flavour that you can't really go wrong putting parsley in. I would normally use thyme, but I don't have any thyme in the garden at the moment. So we've got 4 sprigs of mixed fresh green herbs. You could of course use dried herbs if you only had dried herbs. Just use less of them obviously because they're more condensed. And then we're going to turn to speed 5. So my bay leaves are quite old, so I'm going to put 2 small ones in. Asks for a clove. And 5 coriander seeds. There we go. Then it says to add your chicken. and then we're going to cook it. So because we're going high temperatures, we put the simmering basket instead of the measuring cup on top, and then it cooks for 25 minutes on speed 2, and then I'll bring you back when it's done. So it's been going for the 25 minutes, and it's going to finish up now. And it now says to remove the simmering basket, insert the measuring cup, and then we're going to blend it. So it blends for a minute, and then it's done. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the lid off and scrape it down. Now your stock paste is going to be whatever colour is prominent in what you've used. So I used a lot of greens in this, so it's looking very green tinged. And then what I tend to do is I tend to put it in canning jars that can withstand the heat, and if you fill them up and leave the neck spare, so you only fill them up to the neck, then you can freeze these, because that allows for expansion. And then all I do is when I want to use it, I just use a spoonful straight out of the jar. So that is the chicken bouillon stock paste, completely customizable to however you want to make it. Put whatever vegetables, herbs, that sort of thing that you want in it, and realistically the process is exactly the same if you were using beef or you were using vegetables only. So there you go. I'm sure you could do it on a pot on the stove using a food processor to mince everything up, and cooking it down in the pot, getting it to the right consistency, that sort of thing, blending it back up in the food processor after you've cooked it, that sort of way. But the Thermomix just makes it such an easy thing to do, to make regularly, to have sitting in the freezer, because it's all just done in the one bowl. You can then run a cleaning cycle on the Thermomix bowl if you want to. I will just put some water in it and put it in the sink because I don't need to use it again right this minute. But that's it, all done. These will sit in my freezer, and this will be probably a month or so worth of stock paste, if not a bit more, so I don't have to make it that often, and it's sitting there whenever I need it. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you again next time.